Welcome back, Pokemon fans. Angel of the Night here. We are back again with the Team Star Challenge, and as you guys know, this competition is a single battle format where we use a team of 6 and bring 3 to the battle. Every team is focused around Revaroom, and all Pokemon are based around Team Star. Our opponent here today is going to lead off with a Houndoom, and I've got myself a Krookodile. Now, I can definitely say that in this situation, Houndoom has posed to be a problem in the past. So I'm hoping that in this situation, I may be able to outspeed with this Krookodile. So, we did lock into the Rock Slide, and as you can see, there's going to be a very early game terrestrialization with Houndoom. And in the past, they've actually ended up going in for Fairy. However, in this situation here, they're going in for Ghost. Now, I don't know if Houndoom's going to be able to outspeed or not. Looks like it is going to be able to do so, and it actually ends up going for an Overheat. Now, this is a crazy, overpowered move. You would only do this in the rare situation where you know you're not going to be able to take out a Pokemon. We do end up surviving by 7 HP, and we end up going in for a Rock Slide. We actually managed to take the Houndoom into about half the HP. We do get knocked out by a second Overheat, which is actually kind of strange. I'm assuming it might be locked in with like a Choice Specs of some kind. I'm not too sure. However, we do lose our Krookodile here in this situation. Next Pokemon going to be coming in for my team is going to be my Annihilape. As you guys know, it is a ghost fighting type Pokemon. And I'm thinking in this case, I'm going to end up having to go for a terrestrialization to water in order to be able to survive any kind of a hit. Luckily for me, there is no sun, which means that they're not going to try to do any kind of a crazy solar beam. However, we are going to go in for that Rage Fist. As you guys know, Rage Fist only does more damage the more times you get hit. So we actually are coming in with a clean slate here, which means we're only going to be able to get base damage with the Rage Fist. But luckily for us, we are going to get our terrestrialization to water. The opponent did swap out their Houndoom, which is probably a smart play. Like I said, I think it's probably Choice Scarf, or Choice Spect in that situation, meaning they can't choose any other moves. But they ended up coming with Revaroom, and that is perfectly fine. It did take the hit. However, I'm thinking at this point I should probably go for a Taunt. That way it cannot go for any kind of a move like Shift Gear to boost up its attack stat. Now, we did manage to get the Taunt. As you can see, there is no Shift Gear, which means that it cannot boost those stats, which is perfect. Falls right into my plan. We're going to go in for the Bulk Up here next, which is actually going to boost up our attack stat as well as our defensive values, which means that we should be able to survive a few more hits than the norm. Now, I don't know about you, they might end up swapping out their Revaroom, might be predicting that maybe I'll go for a Drain Punch. We'll worry about the Drain Punch later. We're not going to even think about that here this time. They did, however, go for the Poison Jab and managed to get a Poison off onto the Annihilape, which means that every turn we're going to slowly lose our health from that Toxic. Luckily for us, we do have Leftovers, which can somewhat combat that, but as you guys know, it will get drastically worse every time. We do have Drain Punch. Now, Drain Punch is another HP recovery-based move, and should help us out here in this situation because the opposing Pokemon is also a Steel type. So we managed to get the Drain Punch off, we get a bit of HP back, and then of course, as you can see, we're getting hit by another Poison Jab. Now, we are getting a little bit of lefties here, as you guys can see. Some leftover Chinese food, maybe. I don't know. Who has leftover Chinese food, honestly? I don't trust them. But anyway, it shook off the Taunt. So, in this situation here, it could technically go for the Shift Gear. But luckily for me, I've been hit so many times now that my Rage Fist should actually matter. So, as long as we can survive, we should be able to get a decent Rage Fist off here and potentially take out this Revaroom. Okay, here we go. Revaroom is now down and out, which means that there are still 2 Pokemon on the opposing side that we have to take care of. Houndoom, of course, is now a Ghost-type Pokemon. Now, I am a little bit concerned, though, because if it is Choice Spect, then that Overheat will actually take out this Annihilape. If it is not Choice Spect, and they just went for the Overheat twice in a row, probably potentially 3 times, you know, that's kind of confusing. I don't understand why you would do that, but that's you know, it is what it is. So Tera Ghost Houndoom comes back into play against my Tera Water Annihilape. Now, I can't go for a Drain Punch here because obviously it's a Ghost type on the opposing side, which means that I do actually have to go for that Rage Fist. They are going to go in for the Shadow Ball here, and it looks like they're going to make contact with Annihilape. Luckily for me, I survive, but I lose some defensive values. But my attack stat does get boosted, which is pretty fantastic, and here comes the Rage Fist. So Rage Fist is going to be able to pick up that KO off onto that Houndoom, which is pretty awesome when you think about it, because not only did I have a Defiant boost, but I also got the boost for every time I got hit prior with Rage Fist. So that means that I actually did a lot more damage than I would have initially. We are going to lose a little bit of health there from the poisoning. Luckily, we had a little bit of leftovers to counter that. And the last and final Pokemon is now going to be coming onto the field. And of course, it's an Arcanine. Arcanine is going to be able to drop the attack stat. However, because I've got Defiant, it actually raises it sharply. Unfortunately, it has a Mirror Herb, which actually copies my stat boost. So I'm thinking to myself, at this time, I'm going to have to go for the Drain Punch here, because if I don't get the Drain Punch, we are going to go down. But you know what? It has extreme speed, so it picks up the KO with the Annihilate, and that's perfectly fine. That is the way that the cookie crumbles, I'm afraid. Next Pokemon to come in onto my side is going to be the Revaroom. Now, Revaroom, of course, is a Steel Poison-type Pokemon, and right now we're up against a big, bad Fire-based Pokemon, which is known as Arcanine. The only thing that I can really do here is try to go for high horsepower. Somehow I actually outsped Arcanine, which is actually kind of mind-blowing here at this point. We do manage to get hit by a Flare Blitz, though. Unfortunately, we don't get to survive. But the fact that I outsped that Arcanine leads me to believe that it's more of a bulky Arcanine than it is more of an offensive one. So it goes down 2, and it looks like this is kind of a tie. However, in competition rules, they actually win this match. So good game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Take care and peace out.